Good evening. This is the August 22nd meeting of the Revere City Council. Would everyone please rise to salute the flag?
Roll call of the members. Councillor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councillor Haas? Here. Councillor Keefe?
Here.
Here. Councillor McKenna?
Here.
Here. Councillor Morabito?
Here.
Here. Councillor Novoselsky? Here. Councillor Patch? Here. Councillor Powers?
Here.
Here. Councillor Rotondo? Here. Councillor Zambuto? Here. And Council President Janino?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the meeting of July 25th, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Calendar item number 1, resolution of condolence for former City Councillor John R. Arrigo will be read into the record.
So I'm going to start this by reading the resolution of condolence, which will be followed by a moment of silence. So, resolution of condolence. Whereas former City Councillor John R. Arrigo rendered conspicuous, faithful, and honorable public service to the citizens of Revere in his duties as a City Councillor, and whereas Almighty God in his infinite wisdom has called City Councillor John R. Arrigo to his eternal reward, and whereas the sad calling from amidst of former City Councillor John R. Arrigo leaves a vacancy in the official family of the City of Revere that will be difficult to fill, in a memory that will long be cherished. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Revere City Council extend to the family of former City Councillor John R. Arrigo, on behalf of the citizens of Revere, our heartfelt sympathy and sincerest regrets on their profound loss. And further be it resolved, in recognition of former City Councillor Arrigo's service to the citizens of the City of Revere, that the Revere City Council pays sincere tribute to his memory by spreading upon the official records of the City Council of Revere a copy of this resolution of condolence. This was ordered by the City Council on a roll call, signed by City Council President Jessica Janino and City Clerk Ashley Melnick. And at this time, we'll have a moment of silence in memory of Councillor Arrigo. Thank you. And this resolution will be presented to the family at a later date.
Madam President, the suspension of rules, please. Take up item number 25. Memorial for John.
Sure. On suspension, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 25, motion presented by Councillors Novoselsky and Powers that the mayor request the DPW to install a memorial pole for former City Councillor John R. Arrigo at DeStoop Park in Oak Island.
Councillor Novoselsky?
Madam President, I'd like to defer to Councilor Powers since it's his ward.
Councillor Powers.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. You know, up here, over the years, we asked to put up many memorial signs for different people, and that's a good thing. This is a memorial sign for someone that really, as a city councilor, as a neighbor, as a father, and a husband, really did the right thing 100%. When I first ran for the city council, I looked at John Arrigo as I had known him as a city councilor, and I said to myself, if I think things through the way they should be and try to get a feel on the way Councillor Arrigo would have voted and supported, then I've done the right thing for the constituents in Ward 5. And I think that is evidenced John Arrigo's actions by what we see in his son, our newly elected mayor, Brian Arrigo, who takes every issue seriously and votes consistently for what he feels, supports consistently for what he feels is the right thing for the city of Revere. And I hope that all of us up here will emulate the way John Arrigo looked at things. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I did not have the pleasure of serving with John during his term up here as the Ward 5 councillor, but I knew him personally. I had breakfast with him many mornings down at the Bagel Bin, and he loved the city of Revere. And I think it was appropriate that this be the first sign of the newly developed memorials for city officials. And under the guidelines that we voted on several years ago, making the squares, memorial squares like we do for our veterans, similar to that, will have the city seal on it to indicate that he was a city official, in his past. And in his case, where he served in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves, he will also have the military star on the other side of the sign. So I think this is the first. I did speak to the mayor and his family about the location, and they'd love to have it at, I don't know if it's called DeStoop Park or Oak Island Park, but I know there's other veteran memorials down there, and it would be fitting that John's memorial plaque be placed at this new park that's going to be built sometime in late September, October. So thank you very much on the motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Guanasso.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the honor of serving with John, and he was a very dedicated, sincere, hardworking ward councillor. He'd take every issue at heart. I recall very clearly one particular evening when we had a pretty heated discussion up here in the council chamber, and in the process, when we left, the meeting was over, we went downstairs to the council chamber. Excuse me. And John was very, very upset, and he banged the wall, and I said, whoa, what the heck are you doing? And he says, that's the way I feel, and that's the way it ends. And that was the end of it. He got his frustration out, banged the wall, and that was the end of it. We went out to eat, and the spirit of the moment was ended. He was just very, very competitive in what he does and did, and he was just a good friend. And I had many opportunities that we shared privately. We went out and socialized, and certainly he will be missed by not only his family, but also his colleagues, his former colleagues, and the residents of Revere. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Haas.
Thank you, Madam President. I also served with John as a councillor and as a former mayor. Without question, there was no other person like John. He was so dedicated to zoning in Revere. It was amazing. He would come up with these quirks in the laws that we had no idea what the hell he was speaking about. But he was right. He was right. He was a good guy to serve with, a gentleman all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Councillor Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll just share one brief story with the type of person that former Councillor John Arrigo is. I never had the pleasure of serving with him, nor knew him as a city councillor. I knew him as a grandfather. About 2008, 2009, I started coaching down at St. Mary's, and I was coaching T-ballers, which is if you ever saw coaching T-ball kids, it's like herding cats, and you do a lot of chasing around little 5- and 6-year-old boys and girls. I was looking for some help, and I talked to a young lady, Kim Bellia and Anthony Bellia, who were dropping their children off. And I said, hey, I'd love some help. So Anthony said, I can't help you consistently, but I know someone that can. And out comes this older man that came to help and assist in practices. For the first year, I didn't know his name. I knew him as Da. That was it. The kids called him Da, so we all called him Da. And every once in a while, he would probably remind me of his name, but it stuck. So Da stuck for a few years until I think the kids got a little bit older. They still called him Da. And for 4 years, he helped me through T-ball and in minor leagues. He was the most dedicated coach I had, even more so than myself, because sometimes work would call and I couldn't get there in time. And I always knew Da would be there. Unfortunately, as he did get a little bit more tired, he started getting sick. I think Kim and his wife had come to me and said, you know, he certainly can still help you. Can you just try and push him off a little bit and tell him he can't help you as much because we don't want him to get any sicker? So I kind of struggled to do that, so I had my wife talk to him. And Da still came to every single game, drove to every single game down St. Mary's for both of his grandchildren, and I'm sure that he's going to be keeping an eye on the next group of grandchildren as they play down St. Mary's. So, great man. Happy to have this happen for him.
Thank you, Councillor Keefe. Councillor McKenna.
I'd like to share a story, too, about John Arrigo. I was a school teacher at the Paul Revere School teaching 3rd grade and had Brian as a student. And I was an avid photographer back then. And so John came up to me and said, hey, I've got season tickets to the Celtics. Now, you got to understand it was the Kevin McHale and Larry Bird era. And they were in the championship all the time. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah. He said, all I want is some pictures, black and white pictures, because I developed my own pictures back then. So I said, okay, how much do I owe you? He said, never mind, just give me the pictures. I said, okay. So I go to Boston Garden, and the seats are the first row right next to the Celtics bench. I'm like, oh my God. And I've got this little itty bitty camera. And as I got to know John, and he gave me more season tickets, and I gave him more pictures, I got to know Boston Globe photographers and the Herald photographers, and I ended up sitting on the Boston Globe floor, Boston Garden floor, with these photographers that had gigantic lenses, and with my little camera, I took some awesome pictures. And I always gave it to John, 8x10s, and he always had them signed. And I have now one that I don't know if he has, but it was Michael Jordan's first game. And Michael Jordan had hair back then. And he was going up for the layup, and Kevin McHale and Larry Bird were on each side of him trying to block the shot. And I got that shot hanging in my house. And I hope John had that shot too. But he went above and beyond and got all these black and white 8x10s that I developed in my cellar signed. So they're probably worth $1 zillion. But I've known John for a long time, and he was a great man, and he has a great son following in his footsteps. So I think this is a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKenna. Councillor Morbido.
Thank you. I've known John for about 6-7 years. I first met him. I knocked on his door when I was campaigning for at-large. One word to describe him is passionate. He's passionate about what he did. But one thing he always brought up, I remember being at his door, and he brought up his son, Brian. I didn't know Brian at the time. He was going on about how proud he was and how he went to D.C., and he just had all these good accolades to say about Brian. And then when I finally met Brian, I could see why Brian's such a great guy. I could see why he lived so vicariously through Brian, because I think Brian, did a lot of what his father wanted to pursue, but his father decided to spend more time with his family. And so I think he left a great legacy. So that's to you, Brian.
Thank you, Councillor Morbido. Councillor Patch.
Thank you, Madam President. Actually, John was the same age as I am, and I'm sure we go back to when he was probably playing for the Oak Island Bombers, and I was playing for the Columbian Squires. We used to have that league, and then I remember in softball, the Hill Park or Fredericksfield. He was always just a great guy, and I never had the honor of serving on the council with him. I would have liked to have been on that, but I had the pleasure of serving with his son, and he was so proud of him, and I'm sure he'll be missed by everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Rotondo?
Thank you, Madam President. I didn't know him as well as everybody else, but what I did know about him was he was a fighter. He was a strong man, and he loved his family. And what he went through to be with you, words can't even compare. You're talking to someone who's a transplant nurse, and what he did for you or your family, just to be with you, to see your kids. It's a gift that speaks monumentally of him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rotondo. Councillor Zambudo?
Thank you, Madam President. What I can say about John is he was always a gentleman. Brian and I had disagreements, and he was always respectful towards me, and he had, on no uncertain terms, would tell me that he disagreed with my disagreement with Brian. But he was a wonderful man. I prayed for him for a long time during his transplant, and he's sorely missed by me because it's pretty tough when somebody is an adversary at times with your son, who he was so close to, and he never treated me disrespectfully. He was always a gentleman, and I'll never forget him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And if I may speak from the chair, I'll never forget the first time I met Johnny and Brian, for that matter. I was at Domino's with my family. I was with my grandparents, and Brian was across the way with his parents. And my grandmother goes, "Jessica, that's Brian Arrigo. I think we should go over and say hello." And I go, "Googie, they're having dinner. I don't want to go." And she goes, "Jess, come on, we're going to go." And we walked over to the table, my grandmother and I, and met the family. And that was the start of a great friendship. And I'm really glad we did go over that day. And since then, you know, John would always talk to me when I would see him at events and say, you know, "You're doing a good job with this, and how do you feel about this?" And would always remind me when something was coming up, you know, "Don't forget it's Memorial Day, and don't forget to say this person, you know, did this." And he was a great, great friend and great support, and he'll be greatly missed. My sincere condolences to your family, Brian, from mine. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered. To return to the regular order of business.
Madam President,
Councillor?
you have two former councilors in the audience. They should be recognized.
Thank you, Councillor. At this time, we'll acknowledge School Committeewoman Carol Ty, former Councillor Billy Bell, and former Councillor Rita Singer. Thank you all for your attendance.
Calendar item number 2, hearing called is ordered on the petition of National Grid for a pole location on Atwood Street.
Are there any proponents here tonight to speak on the matter? And just a reminder to state your name and address for the record.
No, National Grid Electric, 170 Medford Street, Malden, Mass. So National Grid Electric is proposing on setting a new pole on Atwood Street, pole 5209-1. It's to refeed the water pump on Atwood Street.
Perfect. Are there any other proponents that wish to speak on this evening? Sir, we'll have you stay because I think councilors are probably going to have questions. Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents that wish to speak on this evening? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any councilors that have any questions
Madam
regarding?
President.
Councilor Guanasso.
Madam President, as you probably know, Atwood Street is completely under review and under construction, and this pole is necessary for the pump down there. So I ask that we vote this out favorably this evening without any further delay. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any other councilors that wish to speak on this evening? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Shall the City Council approve the petition of National Grid to install one SO pole on Atwood Street as shown in the plan submitted? Councillor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Haas? Yes. Councillor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Powers? Is absent. Councillor Rotondo? Yes. Councillor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the petition has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calendar item number 3, hearing called is ordered on the petition of Verizon for attachments to utility pole number 15 at 42 Furlong Drive.
Are there any proponents wishing to speak on this evening?
Thank you, Madam President and council members. For the record, my name is Victor Manugian. I'm with the McLean Middleton Professional Association from 900 Elm Street, Manchester, New Hampshire. And we're here tonight, again, like we were approximately 2 months ago, with a petition for a grant of location to locate one small cell wireless antenna on an existing utility pole number Verizon 15, which is located approximately 42 Furlong Drive, that being the address of the Wendy's, which is closest to the pole, but the pole is actually on on Tomasello Way. Again, we're seeking this under Mass General Laws 165-25A and the Revere City Ordinances 12.20.030. We've submitted plans that are dated April 29 of this year, which depict the pole, which as it stands is 32.9 feet. And with the antenna, the top of it will be now 36.9 feet. And the antenna itself is, it looks like an innocuous transformer-style antenna, and it is 12 inches in diameter and 38 feet 7 inches in height. And in addition to that, there'll be a meter with a 60 amp disconnect and remote radio heads that facilitate the connection of the signal with the other antennas that are in town. And we would ask for support of this from the council tonight.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents here that wish to speak on this evening? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents that wish to speak on this evening? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any councilors that wish to speak on this evening?
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Madam Clerk?
Shall the City Council approve the petition of Verizon to install one CRAN unit on an existing utility pole at approximately 42 Furlong Drive? Councillor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Haas? Yes. Councillor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Rotondo? Yes. Councillor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the petition has been approved. Calendar item number 4 is the zoning subcommittee report.
Councillor Haas?
Madam Chairperson, we had 2 items. The first one was C, 1607. It's 200 Ocean Avenue. It's a non-conforming use, 4 bedrooms. I'd like to also take in item number 15, that's the order of conditions, and make it part of this.
You can attach that to the file.
Yeah. And the subcommittee voted favorably in this. So I make a motion that we approve it.
Madam Clerk?
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested by the applicant for the special permit of 200 Ocean Avenue, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review? Councillor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Rotondo? No. No. Councillor Zambudo? Is absent. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the special permit has been granted, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review.
The next one is the PUD 1601. It's Trans Development Corp. Pertaining to 205 Revere Beach Parkway. I'd like to take item number 16 and make it part of this deal. That's the order of conditions.
We'll attach that to it.
And this come out favorable out of the subcommittee. Vote was 4-3. I'd like to leave this on the table. This is you.
Point of parliamentary procedure.
State your point, Counselor.
I believe that demands a vote today, is that correct?
Next time we meet,
That's not my interpretation of the rules.
lay it on the table, you take it up to next meeting.
Point of order, that wasn't what was asked.
Motion to table is non-debatable.
Non-debatable, Counselor.
Roll call. No, that's not true. Take a vote for it.
What's the vote?
Right now, there's not a motion on the floor. There's a recommendation.
Madam President,
There's a recommendation by the chairman on the floor right now.
and that is
Mr.
what?
Chairman,
To lay it on the table.
Point
For
of
further
order.
discussion.
Point of order.
state your point, Counselor.
It's a roll call vote. It's not an ubiquitous comment you say lay on the table and then it's frozen. You have to do it by vote. That's the parliamentary procedure. That's why I asked for it.
It's non-debatable.
It's underneath Demeter's rules,
Lay
which
it
is
on the
what we
table. It's
follow.
non-debatable.
Call the roll.
So on the motion to lay it on the table, you're asking for a roll call?
It's
Correct.
non-debatable.
Okay.
Call the roll.
So there's a motion on the floor to leave this item on the table, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Guanasso? Yes. Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Keefe? Yes. Counselor McKenna? No. Counselor Morabito? Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Patch?
No.
No. Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rotondo?
No.
No. Counselor Zambuto?
No.
No. Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the PUD application will remain on the table.
Next item on the agenda.
Point of order.
State your point, Counselor.
I believe the people have a right to speak.
Counselor, it's staying in committee. What is the item that we're discussing? So the subcommittee started
shameless.
at 4 o'clock where we discussed the matter, where everyone had a chance to list their name and address for the record and state any opinion they've had. This is a very large project that the council has voted to take a little bit more time to discuss. That's all that's on the table right now. Does anyone have any questions?
No, matter of fact, point of,
State your point, Counselor.
through you, Madam President, to former Councillor, if we could tell Ms. Singer exactly what's going to transpire, as she took her time to come up here to speak, as well as probably 30 other people here. You don't get a right to speak now, because it was laid on the table, and that's it. Your voice is now muted. Just want to let you know that.
So-
They just muted your voice.
Point of order, Counselor. We
No,
had
that's
a
not a point of
subcommittee.
order.
This is a point of order. I'm the chairperson, and I'm
thought you
speaking from the
gave me
chair.
I thought you gave me the floor.
And you had the floor.
Well, then why
You
did you
changed
just
the
bang the
topic.
ham?
So the meeting earlier today was of the zoning subcommittee to discuss the matter at 4 o'clock. Everyone had a chance to speak during that meeting. We had a number of residents, both for and against, that signed in, that stated their opinions. We gave them well over 2 minutes to speak. We let everyone have a very lengthy discussion on an issue because it is not a small issue. It's something
Point
that we're
of
taking
order.
very seriously.
Point
and
of
something the
order.
council is still looking at. If
point
it's
of
on the
order.
table, it will be seen during the next city council meeting where if people wish to speak on it again, they can speak on it before the council votes on it.
Point of order.
State your point, Counselor.
Number one, if you're going to speak from the chair, you should get the right from the council, which we'll vote on, and I'm more than happy to vote yes or no. But more importantly, you're telling these people that because they had to work and there was a meeting at 4 o'clock, that too bad for you. That's what you just said.
Counselor, it's been publicly advertised. There are people that submitted letters that they couldn't attend that had any opposition, or if they were for it, they submitted emails. There was plenty of ways to communicate.
I just think you're stopping them from speaking. That's it.
That wasn't my decision. That was the council's decision to take that vote, Counselor. It was not my sole decision.
Motion to suspend rules. Motion to suspend rules.
On the motion? There's a motion to suspend rules on the table.
I'd like to speak on the motion to suspend rules.
State your point.
Don't you want my address?
You just said you'd like to speak on the motion to suspend rules, so you can state your name and address for the
My
record, Counselor.
address
You're
is
very aware of the
William Bell,
procedure.
235 Revere Street, Revere, Mass. Not Newton, not whatever. I think the people here that didn't get a right to speak because they had
Point
a
of
word.
order, Madam President. This
Should be allowed to
has nothing
speak.
to do with the suspension of rules
Of
or
course
whether or
it
not the
does.
people can speak.
Of course it does.
I think the gentleman is out of
Some
order.
people want to speak.
I'm going to allow him the leeway to speak on the suspension of rules.
Thank you, Madam President, very
As
respectful.
long as he keeps to the point, Madam
Again-
President.
Again, you haven't met for a month. It's been dragging on since last year. 7-4 vote originally. So I think the people that weren't able to speak should be allowed to speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Just by a show of hands, how many people are in the audience that were not at subcommittee meeting that wish to speak on this matter today? If there's only 2 that wish to speak, if it's the will of the council, I have no problem allowing the 2 people to speak. Is there any opposition on the council? So we'll allow people to speak, even though this is completely out of order. So if you'd like to state your name and address for the record and approach the podium, there's 2 minutes. So there's a motion to suspend rules. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered. 2 minutes.
Sorry. Greg Lasedra, 118 Pearl Avenue, Revere, Mass. I'm here. I'm totally against this project. I think. Where is the moratorium on this? Now, where is the moratorium on the apartments for Revere, Massachusetts? Whatever happened to that? You know, the former mayor was against it, and he was for it. And it's just this is just like you're throwing it under the table. I mean, let's bring it to a vote once and for all. I mean, there's too many apartments. There's too much traffic. And this is just going to jam it all up. The Shaw site can. Somebody just told me a couple of minutes ago that it's going to stay vacant for 10 years because you can't get a business in Revere. I mean, we have done 0 commercial development, 0. Taxes are going up. Water and sewer rates are going up. Just keeps going up and up and up. Keep putting apartments, what else is going to happen? You know? This city is going to be a sanctuary city. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak while we're under suspension of rules?
Joe Coco, 36 Sayre Street, Revere. I'd like to know what's happening in the city. Do any one of you live on the beach, near the beach? Anybody here? Do you know what you have to fight now for traffic between 3, every night, between 3 and 7 o'clock in the morning, same 3 hours, people going to work, and these buildings aren't even done yet? Why are they giving the city away? There's so many people, so many of my friends, I've been in the city 40 years, there's so many of my friends that have moved out of this city because people are just giving the city away to apartments. Money, that's all it is, it's about money. Put something in there that's gonna work for the taxpayers in the city, that's gonna relieve us a little bit. Stop selling the city. And that's all you're doing is selling the city to these apartments. The hotel, fine, but not apartments. We don't need any more. Go to the left of me, there's 100 over 300, 400 apartments. Go to the right of me, right, left, whatever. There's apartments. Everywhere you look, there's apartments. How many are we going to take? Our school system, which is really up there right now, is going to go down. Because you know what happened with the St. George? They were all going to be luxury condos, apartments. And you know what? When it was built, they couldn't sell them. So they rented out to low income. And everybody that was around then knows what happened. Okay? There's enough, listen, there's enough crime in the city. There's enough people in the city. Let's stop building apartments. It's all about the money. These people that are building don't live in the city. People that are building live outside of the city, just taking in the money. Let's think about Revere for a change.
Madam Chairman, my name is Rita Singer. I'm a former Ward 1 councillor. I have a question for you, Bobby. I want to know why was it tabled when maybe were the votes here to pass it?
No,
You
I'll
have
give you
all
a
the
good
people
example.
here.
I'll give you a good example.
Yeah,
It
what?
was brought to my attention by someone that maybe we should take 20% of it, okay, or 10% of it and make them senior citizen housing. Right, Bill? Absolutely. And that's an issue. I want to study that issue. All these naysayers, okay, It's going to bring in a lot of money to the community, money we presently don't have.
Point of order.
What's your point this
State your
time?
point, Counselor.
I was told that it was going to be a 4-star, 3-star hotel. Extended stay in is not that.
Yeah, and I was also told it was a multi-use.
It is a multi-use.
Well, yeah, now.
Yeah.
But now now you're telling us it's going to be.
Well, no, before it was all rental units. Now it's not. You have an extended stay hotel that pays the same rate as commercial development, plus you get the 6.5 percentage as far as occupancy permit.
And the state also uses them for emergency
Bobby,
housing.
They don't do that,
Can I just
George.
say something? I was on the
As a point of
committee.
information, that's
I wa-
erroneous information that this council is
It's what I
given.
do for work, my friend.
Yeah, do it a little better. They
all
gave
I'm-
us a commitment, there's going to be no voucher programs there.
Bobby, all I'm asking is, you got people sitting here,
Right.
okay? They come up here in good faith, okay? They want to know what you people are going to do. I sat there. I know what
I
it's
know.
like, Bobby.
Right.
I know what these people, they don't want it. If they don't want it, you should vote it up or down.
You had a lot of people from Beachmont area, ask Joanne, people in their Beachmont Improvement Committee who come up and spoke in favor of it. It's
What I'm
not
saying
unanimous.
is, you got people here now,
Yeah, they
okay?
came late.
Listen to them, listen to what they have to
The council president
say.
is given the opportunity to speak.
Bobby, I've been living there a long, long time. My family's here. I'm not here, Bobby. I'm in Florida.
I know
but
that.
I'm here all the time, and I see what Beachmont looks like. Joanne is doing a super job right now. Right
Yeah.
now, what they have down there, they don't need any more. They don't need any more traffic and all the other stuff that's going to go with it, Bobby.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Counselor Singer. Are there any other members that did not get a chance to speak that wish to speak while we are under suspension of rules? You can-
Michael Zachariah, 123 Cushman Ave, Revere, 45 years in this city at that address. My family, 120 years in this city. And I agree, there's issues. I got 2 little kids in the school systems. But here's the question. Councilor Powers brought up the Beachmont, the Point of Pines Fire Station. Engine 5 was closed twice last week. We're browning out a truck once a day in this city. We don't have manpower, so we're not at full capacity anyways. Beachmont isn't covered, Engine 1's down. We got to find the money somewhere. Somebody has to come up with the answers.
It's not going to come from a residential factor.
I don't know where it's going to come from, Counselor, but we've
always
got to
have
find the
something to
answers.
say.
We've got issues. We've got a DPW department that's ready to close. We're making independent contractors rich, and the DPW is not operating. And the fire department, we have 11,000 runs this year, 10,000 last year. The manufacturing companies won't even warranty the apparatus. These guys are working 24-hour shifts. They're out there, they're working, they're responding to 20 runs in a 24-hour shift. They don't sleep. I know people are saying they're sitting on the ramp, they're sleeping, they're taking naps. They're not, they're killing themselves. And then we shut down another piece. So now Engine 5's down, Engine 2's down. Engine 1's got to come from the Parkway. If they're on a call, you're in the medical field, how long do you have to live when you're unconscious? Where are we going to get the help? We need the money. Somewhere we got to find the money. Somewhere we got to get the development going. I have confidence in this new administration that that's going to happen. And everybody together that can make that happen. I've been listening to this for a year. I've been sitting here tonight. I don't disagree with anybody here. I just want to know we need answers. And that's what we got to do it collectively as a city to make it work, to come up with the money, to make it safe to live here. I'm not moving. I'm not going anywhere. I love this city. I'm staying here. My family were here. My family had amusements on Revere Beach. They had houses on Ocean Ave. But we've got to make it safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian Harrington, 56 Summer Street in Beachmont. I am in favor of the proposal. I think it's great. A lot of infrastructure, helps the tax base. People are complaining about traffic. If you believe a traffic study, it could be a lot worse depending on what goes in there. Something is going to go in there, and it could be worse based on the demographics of what this is targeted at. So, I mean, I don't think it's perfect. I would love to see more commercial stuff in there and make it instead of being a, commuter-friendly development, I'd like to see it more walkable. You could add more services that people living already in Beachmont could make use of. Right now, I think there is a restaurant that's not especially good. There could be a lot more other things added to it that would make it a lot better for the residents. But as it stands now, I still think it's better than an empty parking lot or what might go in there. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other members that would like to speak while we're under suspension of rules? Seeing and hearing none, we'll return to the regular order of business.
Calendar item number 5, Ways and Means Subcommittee Report.
Councilor Powers?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Early this evening, we had a subcommittee meeting of the Ways and Means Committee to set the water rate for fiscal 2017. That rate is set, is $5.93, was submitted by the mayor, bringing the total water and sewer rate to $16.15. And the commercial rate to $24.48. This has been one of the lowest water rates in the past 10 years, at 1.42% for residential and 2.45% for commercial. And I am reporting this out now and asking for a vote of the City Council to approve the water rate, Madam President.
On the motion?
Shall the City Council set the FY17 water rate as follows: $3.75 per 100 cubic feet for residential properties and $5.93 per 100 cubic feet for commercial properties? Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotondo? No. No. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the water rate for FY17 has been set. In accordance with Rule 23 of the City Council Rules of Order, the following motions or communications are being reported out of committee with a recommendation to be placed on file. Calendar item number 6, motion of Councillor Haas requesting a meeting to discuss enforcement and storefront signage and advertising.
Keep that in committee.
Calendar item number 7, motion of Councillor Rotondo relative to plans for the Lincoln School playground.
Councilor Rotondo? Place on file.
Calendar item number 8, motion of Councillor Rotondo relative to a Revere Development Authority.
Councilor? Place on file.
Calendar item number 9, motion of Councillor Rotondo relative to a cultural museum and carousel on Revere Beach.
Councilor Rotondo? Place on file.
Calendar item number 10, motion of Councillor Rotondo relative to the stretch building code.
Place on file.
Point of privilege.
State your point, Councilor.
I'm really glad that the committee took the time to look at these and forward them accordingly. I don't see the point of having committees if they're not going to conduct business.
Calendar item number 11, motion of Councillor Rotondo relative to creating an economic and zoning master plan.
I'd say put it in committee, but again, I don't believe that it's going to be taken up, so place on file.
I believe that we should keep in committee.
I second that.
Leave it in committee.
This will leave in committee.
Calendar item number 12, motion of Councillor Rotondo relative to designating Revere as an economic development industrial corporation.
Again, same issue. In fact, this is something that they do out in the western part of the state, as is with item 13. For some reason, no one wants to take this up and look into it. All it is certification of documentation at the state level, which would give us both tax breaks as well as other issues. But again, no one wants to take it up.
We'll keep this in committee.
Calendar item number 13, motion of Councillor Rotondo relative to foreign trade status.
Same issue.
Keep this in committee.
Calendar item number 14, communication from Veteran Services Director requesting the installation of a memorial pole for Army Corporal Gerald Chiepo at the corner of Winthrop Avenue and Beach Street.
Councilor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, being the chairman of the Veterans Committee, I think it's appropriate that we move this on so the DPW can have the memorial for Corporal Cheapo installed at Winthrop Ave and Beach Street.
On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 17, communication from the Mayor's Office requesting a waiver of the residency rule for Mr. Reuben Kantor, Director of Innovation and Data Management.
This will be going to the Appointment Subcommittee.
Madam President, I'd like to speak on that.
Sure, state your name and address for the record.
William Bell, 235 Revere Street, Revere, Mass. Again, a non-Revere resident is being appointed to a position in spite of 55,000 mostly normal people living in the city of Revere, 25,000 people taking the time to register to vote. Where does he live, by the way, Madam President? Or
The application is in the attachment, but it will all be reviewed under the Appointment Subcommittee, where the person will be present to answer questions.
Because I was going to suggest maybe the city of Revere enter into an agreement with Chelsea, Everett, and Winthrop. You know, a mutual aid type of agreement regarding employment. Because it's so hard for people to find in this administration Revere residents to work, at least maybe extend the advertisements to Winthrop and Everett and Chelsea, our abutting communities, and maybe they would do the same. Instead of having someone, you know, like in the past, I remember someone from out of state was hired. That's all. Thank you so much, Madam President. Have a good night.
Thank you, Councilor Bell. This will be going to Councilor Guanasso's Appointment Subcommittee.
Calendar item number 18, communication from the mayor relative to a bond authorization in the amount of $50,000 for schematic design costs for the Garfield Middle School boiler.
This will be going to a public hearing which will be held on September 12th.
Calendar item number 19, motion presented by Councilor Rotondo that the mayor requests Nick Catanazzo, Director of Inspectional Services, to appear before the City Council to discuss the properties in arrears with the vacant building program.
Councilor Rotondo, and thank you, Mr. Catanazzo, for being so prompt.
Through you, Madam President. Nick, thank you, first of all, for getting the property cleaned up down on Furnace Street. We've been through this before. I mean, Rumney Road, Warren Street, Reservoir. I mean, I can go through the list.
Sure.
From, 2005, 6, 7, etc. But is this property 2426 Furnace, if I got the correct number, that's owned by one of the digital banks, is it, that bought all these properties on bulk?
I can give you a little update on that
Please.
property. Sure. We executed an administrative warrant last week. We went in there with police, inspection services, fire. Then we wrote an order to correct all the violations, holes in the roof. It was really a bad property, as you know. We didn't clean up the entire property because it would have cost the city way too much money.
Like in the back and
It
so
would have
forth?
cost us about $4,000 to clean that up. We just don't have that type of money. So we just cleaned up the front so our inspectors could get in there, get into the house and write up the violations. Today, we filed a petition to appoint the receiver in court. And then there will be a court hearing on 9/6 to appoint the receiver for that property. We've been in touch with the bank that owns the property, and right now they're working with the city. But until they do that, we're going to go after and appoint the receiver.
Through you, Madam President, the mayor and Omar has to be given credit for this, as obviously as well as you for moving forward with this. I truly want to take this property. It's a blighted property. I'd like to have it go back to the people of Revere. And I think that would be a great thing. I mean, are you optimistic that that could be a possibility?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, in the last 3 weeks, we did administrative search warrants on 4 vacant properties in the city, and it will continue. We're going after all the bad properties in the city. Right now, we have a database with all the vacant properties in it that are checked for outside sanitation, once every 2 weeks, to make sure those things are up to code, and they get prioritized. If they're really bad properties, they go to a code 1, which is inspected 3 times during the week, and fines are issued to those properties. And if you'd ever like to see how the database works, you can come to our office.
Well, I want to thank you for the PDF on the properties that you
That's
had
correct.
sent me before, so
Sure.
I appreciate that greatly. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilor Rotondo. Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. Catanazzo, I spoke to you regarding Davis Street. Subsequent to that conversation, I noticed I was copied on a email that went to the mayor's office also,
Right.
in reference to that same properties where the individual comes in, he works for a day, he stops. It's an absolutely eyesore. It's really a detriment to the whole neighborhood. And how do we rectify this thing as soon as possible? Because I don't see how the courts can possibly delay this any further. I mean, and even if we're sanctioning fines against this individual, it
Right.
doesn't seem like we're gaining anything.
Well, basically, that's what we're doing. We're doing these administrative search warrants on these properties to bring them up to code, but we have to have a process in place. The process in place is...
But this is a process, not building up to code. This is a guy that's rebuilding. He's doing something. He's doing construction work. He works for half a day, and then he takes 3 weeks off. He
Right.
works for half a day, and but he's not getting anywhere. I mean, I just think why do we have to put up with this guy?
Yeah, well, it comes a point, under the law, there's only so much we can do, as you know. So, we've been finding this...
But this has been a couple of years.
I know.
And that's it. And I don't, the neighborhood doesn't want that for an answer anymore.
Well, basically, no, I understand, but with basically with this new database that we have and checking out properties, I think, eventually our fines are pretty high, as you know. We can find like almost $490 a day on each property. And I think if you want to pay those amount of fines, then at the end of the day, when the property goes to lien, we're going to get our money. So I think he will comply.
It hasn't worked yet, Nick. It hasn't worked yet. And
Well, just give us a little more time on this property, and trust me, I think it will work.
Will work.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my answer.
It will work.
It will.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to say thank you. I know every time you're up here, I say thank you, but I know I call you every other day for problems, and you always answer them for me. And Ward 1 looks great, and thank you very much. I know you've answered every single call and every single email that I've sent forward to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. Councilor Patch.
Yep. Thank you, Madam President. Nick, I just want to thank you. I don't know if you're aware, but if this was a result of this new program, but on Geneva Street,
yes,
the house is beautiful.
Yeah,
How many years have we
finally,
dealt with that
finally.
house?
Yeah.
And it's such an improvement to the neighborhood. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did that eventually get sold through?
Yep, it's so they paid all their fees and everything to the city, all the fines to the city that were owed, all the liens to the city that were owed, and as you can see, the property is being taken over and being taken care of now. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to turn these properties over. A lot of people think we're in it to, make money, but that's not the case at all. We're in it to make the city look a better place. And right now, we have a lot of vacant properties in the city, like Councillor Rotondo stated. We do. I mean, it's pretty hard to keep up with them. We got a lot of blighted properties.
Right.
And the outside sanitation is the key that we're picking up on these properties. So it increases every year.
It just, I mean, it had to be at least 4 years that you were cleaning it up, you were baiting it, you were,
Right.
It was just put the whole neighborhood into an uproar. So.
Well, one house on a street could really, like Councilor Ganasso said, can really, bring a neighborhood down. Just one house, And the problem we're having with outside sanitation and rodents, it's a huge problem right now throughout the city, not just in Revere, throughout Saugus and Chelsea and Medford. We're having problems everywhere with outside sanitation.
Right. Well, thanks
Yeah.
Thanks again.
All right, at least we got that one
I won't be
done.
calling in that house
All
anymore.
right, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patch. Councillor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Nick,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like Joanne. I'm in your office, on the phone, on the email, constantly, see, click, fix. We got,
Right.
it's a great, great program. But
It is.
Three locations I'm concerned about. 172 Campbell Ave.
Yep,
I know they just cut the grass there.
they just did it, yeah.
What's the current status of that?
Basically the same, but we sent them, yeah, as you know, we've been finding that property, yeah, so.
Okay, but it's still up in the air as far as we know.
Yes,
so.
still up in the air, yes.
And what about, you know anything about 7 and 9 DeHone Street?
I believe we have violations out on that property also.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no update on any communication with the owners of the
Because I
bank.
know that we put on a cease and desist on it.
It's on a cease and desist, yeah,
We
exactly.
tagged it, but they took the signs off, so I don't know what the
Yeah,
latest
we haven't
is.
got any more updates on that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will look into it tomorrow for you.
Appreciate
Get back
it.
to
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councillor. And if I may speak from the chair, I just want to say thank you while you're up here, Nick. I know every time you come up for the budget, we get to thank you for everything that you do, but I will say as a councillor, between Inspectional Services and the DPW, that's where the majority of our calls end up. And every time that a constituent sends me a picture or a call or a text or an email, within that day, if not the next morning, I get a return from your office. So I really do appreciate it, and I hope the citizens appreciate how much work you do for the community.
Thank you.
So thank you. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered. And at
Thank you,
this time,
councilors.
Nick, we're going to hold you for 1 second because we're going to suspend rules. On suspension of rules, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered. At this time, we're going to take up calendar item number 28 while you're here.
Yes.
Calendar item number 28, motion presented by Councillor Powers, that the mayor request the Director of Inspectional Services and the building inspector to report to the City Council as to the status of the building located at 1069 North Shore Road. It is uninhabitable, in tax title, and is a negative image on the city. Inspectional Services should use whatever enforcement mechanisms and resources available to remedy this blighted property.
Thank you, Mr. Cadenazzo. Councillor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. Nick, you do a great job, really. On any time I've ever come into your office, you've always been very receptive and informative. You keep good records down there, and I've got 3 places on North Shore Road, and I'm going to mention one of them tonight. And that's the building at 1069 North Shore
Right.
Road. There were people living in there. There was no water going into the building. They're out of there now. They have been for a while.
Right.
My understanding is they owe $50,000 in rear taxes. $50,000. And that's probably what most people pay in the city of Revere in a normal house, probably over a period of
Right.
8 or 9 years. So this building is deplorable. In my opinion, it has to come down. I think the building department would agree with that. I'd like to know if we can push this, get it out of there before another month or so.
I just gave the council president an update on that, okay, through a memo through the attorney's office.
Yep.
If you would like to read that and see where we are with it. So we do have an update on that. I think you spoke to the councilor about that property
I
and where
did.
we were.
I did.
So right now, it's it's sort of a court matter right now, and that's where we are with it.
No, I understand it's a court matter, but I think, any reasonable official of the court that saw the condition of that building.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
It's not something that can be rebuilt.
No, it should be demoed.
It should be demoed.
Absolutely.
And the property sold to one of the abutters that will take care of the property.
That's what we're trying to do right now, Council.
And my main concern is that it sends a bad, negative image to people who drive through our city from some of the more affluent communities on the North Shore. When they look at that, and
Yeah.
it's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, I agree.
And
But as you know, we have to do everything legally, which we
Well,
are.
I know that.
I mean, we have to do everything legally. We just can't go in
and knock down a building. We have to get,
I
and that's why
understand
we're
that.
in court right now. And if you read the memo that the document I gave the council president, you'll understand where we are with that property. So it is up to date.
And just for the council's information, I gave that document to the clerk. She's going to attach it to the file, and if anyone wants a copy of the
Yes.
information, she can
I
send
did
it
the
out.
research on your last motion before I came here
And
tonight.
I would hope that maybe tomorrow or the next day, you could call the people that are handling that and maybe light a fire under them.
Oh, they're right on top of it. You'll see with the document that I presented tonight to the council president, that we are up to date on that.
Thank
Okay.
you very much. And
Sure.
once again, thank you for all your help and your expertise.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Counselor, and thank you again, Mr. Catanazzo. We appreciate your presence. Have a great night.
Thank you.
On the
Thank you.
motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Thank you,
We're going to
Councilor.
return to the
Bye, guys.
regular order of business. Calendar item number 20.
Motion presented by Councillor Rotondo that the mayor look into the feasibility of bringing RCN or any other cable company to Revere to create competition and lower cable rates.
Counselor Rotondo.
Motion speaks for itself.
On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 21, motion presented by Councillor Guanasso that the mayor request the DPW to install a guardrail at the corner of Pomona and Revere Streets. There have been several recent accidents at this location, some of which have caused damage to the home located at this intersection.
Counselor Guanasso.
Madam President, this was not only recent, but in past years also. This homeowner has been experiencing damages to his property for so many times and on so many occasions. But the thing that he's mostly concerned with is the safety of him and his wife and his family and anybody who comes to visit at that location. At any given moment, a car can go through it or a truck can go through it. It's just perfectly located that they seem to pick up speed when they make that turn. They go out of control and bango right into this guy's property, and danger exists. So for the sake of public safety, I'd like to see a guardrail installed sooner than later. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 22, motion presented by Councillor Powers that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to establish no heavy trucking regulations for Harris Street.
Right next to it.
Further, that the Revere Police Department enforce the speed limits on Harris Street.
Counselor Haas. Oh, Power, sorry.
Thank you, Madam President. This motion is a result of several phone calls I've received from residents on Harris Street. And basically what's happening is that heavy trucks that are looking to bypass Mahoney, AKA Bell Circle, using Harris Street as a cut-through to the Parkway. And some of these trucks are trash trucks. They go down there, they get to the lights, they take a left on Winthrop Avenue to get back to the Capital Waste Yard. So I would hope that in addition to the signs going up down there, once approved by the Traffic Commission, that the traffic be enforced more down there, and perhaps even a call could go from the mayor's office to Capital Waste to keep those trucks off of there unless they're actually doing pickups in that area down there. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor Powers. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 23, motion presented by Councillor Keefe that the City Council award a certificate of appreciation to Kayla and Jordan Martelli for their hard work in running Alex's Lemonade Stand for 5 years and in the process raising over $10,000 to benefit children's cancer research.
Great motion. Counselor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll save most of my comments if this so passes to the night that we bring the family here. But couple young Revere residents doing a phenomenal job raising money to support, to raise awareness for cancer research and doing a lemonade stand. And have done this for 5 years and done a phenomenal job. I can think of many other things a 12 and a 9-year-old would be doing. So I'd like to recognize them. Thank you.
It's a really wonderful motion. I think it's one that we all support. So on the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 24, motion presented by Councillor Novoselsky and Councillor McKenna, that the mayor request the DPW to install memorial poles for the former City Councillors Richard A. Penta and Jim Kimmerle and former School Committeeman Guy Meli at Kimmerle Park in Beachmont.
Councilor Novoselsky, or we can start with Councilor McKenna, because she's the ward councilor. It's up to you. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. So I talked to the Penta family, and the Penta family, we were, the Beachmont Improvement Committee and the city we were going to designate Richard's memorial up where he used to live. But the family's concerns, they didn't want it there. They wanted him next to his good friend, Jim Kimmerle. So they wanted Richard to be with Jimmy. So, and when we built the park 3 years ago, Guy Meli was supposed to have a plaque in that too. He was supposed to have a part of that too. So Ira came to me and he said, you know, let's designate some memorial poles, which I think we should do the same kind of a memorial that Jimmy has, maybe a little bit smaller on both sides, if that's okay. I don't think poles would, and I think it's a great idea. And the family's for it, so we should be for it.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, same as Councilor McKenna, I was approached by the Penta family. I happened to bump into them up here at City Hall, and they were discussing the proposed Memorial Square down at the end of Bellingham Ave, and they really didn't feel it was appropriate. It was too, not appropriate, but it was a lot of money that, too many people had to come up with, and they didn't want to go through that. So we discussed it, and they came up with putting one Richard Penta's on the left side of Jimmy Kimmerle's and Guy Meli's on the right side. And again, it's appropriate that we do this based on our new regulations, that they'll have the city seal. They've already been designed, and as soon as this is passed, we'll send it over to Public Works to have it, have them made and installed. Thank you.
Great motion, councilors. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 26, Councilor Zambudo is recused from this discussion. Motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the mayor request Mass DOT to place a mesh barrier on the top of the new Winthrop Avenue Bridge to block the view of the Capital Waste Facility.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. Right now, there is a mesh barrier on half of the fence leading up to the Winthrop Ave Bridge. But as you go over the bridge, if you're coming into Ward 1 and you're coming from, say, Route 16 or Broadway, you can see what's down below, and down below is capital waste. So I'm asking that the mayor, talk to DOT and see if they can extend that mesh fence or replace it, because it does have graffiti on it and it doesn't look too good. So that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 27, motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the mayor request the DPW to remove a large cut-down tree on an empty city-owned lot next to 138 Pearl Ave. This request from the abutting property has been ongoing for 2 years.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. The only reason why I made a motion on this is because I have requested this tree to be removed from the city-owned lot, and I guess the abutter has asked for 2 years to have this tree removed. And what she does is she takes care of the lot. It's not, I don't know if it's groomed by the city, but she weeds it out and makes it pretty because it's next to her house. So that's why I put a motion in for this tree to be removed from the lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
We have a late motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor direct the DPW to have the guardrail on Mills Ave at the end of Gilbert Ave replaced. In its present condition, it creates a public safety concern.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, this was one of the guardrails that was supposed to have been replaced. probably about a year and a half ago, and it never was. It's all splintered. It's a danger if somebody walks into it, a child or something like that, they can get seriously hurt. So I would ask that we retain a carpenter, if we don't have anybody down in the city yard, to get down and replace that guardrail and make the area safe. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
We still have more late. On Councillor Powers' motion, all in favor? All opposed? That was quick. So ordered.
Late communication from the Election Commissioner relative to the initiative petition filed by Gene McCain for a Category 2 gaming license as defined by MGL Chapter 23K, Section 2.
Thank you. This will be going to the Economic Development Subcommittee.
Can we move to vote on that?
It's going to Economic Development. There's no further business. At this time, the City Council meeting will be adjourned. Our next meeting is September 12th, 6 p.m. Have a great night.